Hey everybody, I'm Brandon. Welcome to the ADHD Game Dev live stream. Give me 1 second to make sure everything is checking out on my secondary computer, and we'll find out what's what. All right, excellent. We are working now. Hi, good to see you. Pleasure. You guys are going to laugh your heads off at me. I actually ran the whole stream earlier today, but I forgot to hit a button, so nothing actually worked. So we're back and we're better than ever. I'm going to go through and show you what we're up to here with Tiny, and we're working on Godot and Blender and Photoshop and all kinds of stuff. All right. So here we are over in Godot land. So I want to show you what I've been working on and talk about what the project is, what Tiny is all about. In a nutshell, it is actually me trying to learn Godot, and it's kind of a hobby horse of mine at the moment that I am just building for the fun of it. So whether it comes to anything, whether it turns it into anything, whether it gets to be more than just something I'm kicking around remains to be seen. I've got a whole litany of plans that I could do on this project to turn it into a full proper game. And in an ideal universe, it would be a proper game and a Steam release. Yay! Very excited. But I don't want to hold myself to too much and set myself up for failure. So I'm taking things as they come and doing the best I can. And I'm having fun in the moment. If you watch my channel, ADHD Game Dev over here, that's one of the things that I'm always encouraging you to do and to have fun with it. So don't stress yourself out and don't set yourself up for failure. So I think it's important for me to have fun in the moment. So let's take a look at what we're doing and what I was doing earlier here in preparation. I see we had the stream scheduled for a certain time, and I completely botched it. But in my defense, I am entirely unreliable. I always say that. So boom, boom, boom. I'm going to take the character, and we're going to grab him. And we're going to move him back over to here. You guys are going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked to hear this, but I'm starting to know what I'm doing. I know, it's weird. So the character has got kind of a little capsule around him right now. I'll show you why. This is the grass collider is what it is. Boop, 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 boop. And the character, if you saw any of my other videos about this project that I'm working on, this is a heavily modified asset that I got, and he barely resembles the original. I saw some other game devs out there, and they were working on projects, and I was kind of laughing because I recognized what they were doing. I recognized their assets. I was like, oh my gosh, I have some of those assets. So what I've done is to make such heavy modifications to everything that they really just barely resemble what I had in the first place, which I think is a good thing to do. So you don't just want to do a straight asset flip per se, but having a good starting point to help you along your way. That's what assets are there for, and other things. Even the third-person character controller that I got is an add-on. The other thing that I have that is super useful, and we're going to talk a lot about it. Here we go. Game's ready. The other thing we're going to talk about is the grass, simple grass textured. Oh, I love it so much. Here we're going to walk into the grass. Boop, 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 boop. It's so fun, and I love it. The more I work on this game, the better it gets to looking. Yeah, I got to fix a few things, of course. We've still got some glitches. That's actually part of the original third-person controller and the spring arm pivot and stuff. So, hey, I do what I can. I've been working on a lot of the assets and things and in terrain design, and I'm using the Terrain 3D add-on. And I want to talk about this violet leaf up there. You see him? Oh, it's so great. In case you haven't figured it out, you're a 2-inch tall forest sprite named Twig. And I love it. I love being here, and I love running through all this environment. Oh, it's so delightful. So I want the player to be able to just feel like they're able to go around and explore without worrying too much about the getting lost. So I need to give them ideas of waypoints. So say a great big tree like that, or a rock or a creek or anything, would be a good area to kind of keep your bearings at all times. This, I think, will eventually turn into maybe a stream. One of the things I need to do is to think about what the terrain is going to be from a big, wide concept instead of... I spend a lot of time down in here, moment by moment. Like I'm sitting here thinking, this area is not finished. I haven't really done a lot over here. I need to fix that. Doggone it. I know I say it every time I say I'm going to fix something, but then I've already done 10 other things. So these bushes are brand new. All this around there. It's also part of the simple grass system, and I will show you that in the Godot setup in just a second. I'm going to go run around the environment first so that you can see what it's building up to. I'm also looking at maybe changing out this tree bark texture. It's really great. It's a Sketchfab asset. It's just lovely. But I don't think anybody ever intended for me to use anything they created in such a large scale. Being able to scale your graphics for a screen is also a trick, because how big does the image need to be? Well, in my case, a simple grass object is going to be scaled up to fit the entire screen. So, what did I delete over there? Check that out. Something is deleted. I'm missing some textures. I know why. I had some actual bush models that were out there, and I didn't like the way they were working. There was too much pop-up happening. I wasn't getting enough, and I didn't know how to fix the LEDs. But I was loving the Simple Grass add-on and the way it's working. So I've replaced them with the same concept. And these are supposed to be actually interactive, so they kind of react and get bumped around when I bump into them. And here we have this tree model, this tree stump model, and the grass and things. This is all very stylized, which I really enjoy. I like how stylized it is, because I think if something is stylized, it always looks as good as it ever did. But if you try to do something that's really high definition, it only looks good in the time in which it was made. I want to show you these violet leaves too. We'll check them out in Blender. I'll show you something. And we drop down from here. The way that I want the player to interact with the world is to feel like there's a destination. So I'm going to create a system of waypoints that they're going to want to go to, and then they have to just go to it. I'm not going to try to hold their hand, and I don't want to have invisible walls. Thank you very much. So, for example, you could tell I can climb up this rock, and I'm not going to go to the left because it's blocked. There's no invisible wall there, but it's obvious I can't climb up there. And there's that root kind of blocking my way. If you hear any outdoor noises, it's because I have my door open and it's a lovely day here. It just adds to the natural ambiance, doesn't it? So here we are back at the start area, and we can see the moss and the grass and everything. But yeah, let's go, boom, boom, boom. Let's go take a look here. So what we've got going on here is all these little areas that I am drawing out using the Terrain 3D system. So the Terrain 3D system allows me to come in here. If we do a little fly cam, we could just kind of paint in and raise and lower the terrain as we go along. Don't crash. It wants to crash. I just know it does. I just know it does. It did. I mess with it all day long and no crashes. Oh my goodness. I'll hand it to Godot. It's really quick about getting back up on its feet. So if we're over in Blender land, we can take a look at. I spent so much time moving around in the 3D space over in Godot, and I come back to Blender, and I'm like, all my shortcuts, my hands don't play the right instrument anymore. If you're used to like just moving through by touch, you know what I'm talking about. This is actually a photograph of a violet leaf. I took the photograph and I brought this into into Photoshop, and I made the normal mapping, the roughness map, and the normal mapping, and all that out of it after making it kind of symmetrical. And it's just a flat plane, okay, that I warped and then I extruded down. So it's like just a simple shape with a flat plane and an image. And now I'm working on, do you remember a second ago I was just saying about the trees and their texture? This is a tree photograph that I took, and I just wrapped this around a cylinder. Will I use this? I don't know. I'm pondering because this goes into a matter of stylization that I was just talking about. I think these guys look pretty good, and they're not so high quality that they don't fit the space. They look good, but I don't want things to look too high definition. So I don't know if I use a photograph like that, if it's going to throw everything off. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't mind the trees that are in there right now. I just feel like they're losing some quality. No fault of their own, though. No fault of their own. Nobody ever intended them to be like this big on screen. Look at that. But you can see how these assets, these violet leaves that I made, all come up into here, right? So that's what they look like. And these are painted on using, there we go, using the Terrain 3D Systems meshes. So that's good. I could go in here and just paint some more like that. That's neat. The reason I like that is because if they're painted using the Terrain 3D system, if I raise and lower terrain, they stay with it. But if I'm using the Simple Grass add-on, that is just a standalone object in here. So this moss on this root right here, if I move the root that it's attached to, it'll go with it, but it doesn't know what happens with the rotation, right? And the same thing with any of the grass that's painted onto this terrain. The grass is its own mesh. So what I did was I set up it to be at least in the zone. So the idea of the game here is that it would have several different zones, and this is just one area around this creek / maybe waterfall. I think it'll be a waterfall is what's going to happen eventually. So if I keep working on this, we'll keep building out in that direction. And if I've decided I'm at the end of the world, I don't know how far out I want to go, but if I'm at the end of the world out there, then we'll block it in with something. I might have a great big solid wall or fallen trees or something, because even a fallen tree like this, when you're up close to it, can look like a wall. So if you can imagine this was the outside of the world, that would look better than that. If you're a tiny person, we don't want to see that distant mountain kind of view. That's not really what we're going for. So these guys here are probably leftovers because I decided I wanted to get rid of the solid bushes that were part of the Terrain 3D system, and these are actually replaced items. I use the Simple Grass system for that. Let me see if I can grab my Photoshop of it. Yeah, there we are. So I grabbed this and I painted this in, and it was originally part of the asset pack that we were just looking at, and then the Stylized Nature pack, which, yeah, I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. So yeah, these guys here are really cool. If we look at it yeah. So those are neat. So I just grabbed the shape of that. They're just a bunch of flat planes that are all just sort of mapped into each other with that shape. So I painted it in to give it a little bit more of a look and to match with the grass. So some of these other items that we have in here, like that moss is just an object that I dropped in there. I'm thinking about using Godot offers a thing of, I think they call it, yeah, decals. They call it decals. So I believe we can kind of stamp onto here, or I can make a shader. Originally, these assets were created for Unreal Engine, but part of the shader system has like tangent space, and I'm starting to get over my head, to where it would automatically create moss at the top of it. I don't know how to do that. So, yeah. Yeah, so I'll have to figure out how to make kind of a green patch. So it's nice. Same thing with the terrain 3D. I need to watch some tutorials on this because the terrain is fine, but it's just got the same look across the whole thing, which is fine for the moment, but it doesn't want to stay that way forever, obviously. So I think that would be better if we had kind of a green top to it and some more of a mud side. I might wind up changing it, but it's good for right now, and it's more important to me that I keep moving on things instead of being stuck. But you can see what I was talking about with trying to guide the player through and making the player want to go to different areas. So if, for example, you come into this area, which I'm calling Zone 1, it's all underneath here, right? If you come into Zone 1, you'd be faced with this left or the right, okay? Well, you can't go to the right because there's a rock there, and you can see it pretty quickly, so I'm not going to waste your time. So you, as a player, would have to decide, oh, I bet I can go up this route. Once you come up this route, you know, you're kind of invited to come underneath this fallen log, and then it opens up to this vista, which then it would present to you. I think it would have a waypoint that you're trying to get to. I think that's the nature of the game. So it's going to be navigating around to different places. And in an ideal universe, I'm going to start adding in some abilities that you're going to unlock or gather. A little bit of a Metroidvania in that regard, I think. So you'd be doing some backtracking back and forth. We'll see how it works out. If all I do is make a fun little playground that I like and I'm happy with, and we're just tooling around, then we're going to call ourselves happy. But if I want to keep on at it and make a full game, then there will be a waypoint over here that you'd want to get to. And it's up to you to figure out how to get to it, because the water is not good for little people. They don't swim. They don't swim. So if you came down here, you'd be in trouble. So you'll figure that out the hard way, and the game will just teach you. But I would put in, I'm not cruel. I would put in a restart point up here at this rock, which goes back to that idea of having a, in video game parlance, it's called the prospect. That means it's the open space that you can observe and make decisions. So what I'm doing at each point along the way is kind of a left-right decision. So left across that way, there'll be, I assume, a waterfall. We'll see. Or right, there might be some roots here to try to get across. I was thinking about getting rid of the water entirely and letting them just kind of tool around down here. I did texture it out, so you could in fact come down here and then make your way up onto this and then up around, so that would become a block, a blockage here. I don't know. I kind of like having some water elements here. It's just, to me, it feels fresh and it feels inviting. But yeah, you'd want to get to that waypoint in order to complete this zone, and then, as you saw me walking through, if you come back this way. If you choose, as the player, if you choose to go off the path into the area that I would refer to as the rough, I don't want to put up invisible walls and stop you, but I want you to choose not to, because you don't want to go through this, right? This is not helpful. This is not fun. This is not getting you to anywhere. And eventually you'll run into, I want to kind of funnel you back into the play space. So even if you did that, even if you got off track and you wind up here, you're like, woohoo, look at me. You still wind up right back here at the beginning, even so. So I want to try to funnel the player towards where I want them to be by giving them different directions and different blockages. So when we came up this rock and we're looking at that, there's, even if you were to cheese the game and try to go up this way, you know, you would still find yourself in the rough up here and then blocked in another direction. So the most advantageous path for you is to work on the path that I'm designing for you as the designer, But if you came back and got some new tools and you could come back and open up new areas, like say a grappling hook and you can loop up, that would allow me to come back here and say, we'll take this fallen log. So instead of letting this be something that you go under, imagine if this was completely, on the ground like that. So when you come into this zone, you find yourself completely blocked by it. But when you come back with a grappling hook, you can, mount this, get up onto this this new prospect area, and that would be a new path across to this area. So there's a lot of different ways that I can look at it, and a lot of different ways I can think about the game. But I do like the feel of this, and it's kind of a template and a model of how I want the game to feel. So yeah, we're doing roughly some asset flips and some reworks. Like this tree, as much as I like the tree bark, I want this root to flow more into it. So I'm thinking about Blender. I'm thinking about over here in Blender land, if I take I can't move in Blender after spending all this time in Cattell. Okay, I'm all right. I'm all right. Oh my gosh. If you guys could see what buttons I'm pushing, you'd think I was having a seizure over here. Oh my word. So yeah. So if we have this tree here, I think what I want to do is take this and maybe stylize it a bit more. Maybe I'll play with some more Photoshop stylizing, because you can see that this doesn't really match with that. But those elements over here were really fun, because once I made those elements, I was able to use the simple grass add-on to just paint in bushes, and I made just a bush node to where I could do the simple grass thing and paint in some more bushes. So you can see up here on the right of the screen, the texture, I can just select a new one and just literally just paint it like that so easily. Oh, yeah. Let me see if we can get in there. There we go. So if we, just paint these guys on there. And it's so nice because there's this scale variance built into the application. And I don't need these to be interactive because I don't want you to bump into these. However, I did make individual nodes for the grass in the area. So this is the bushes, zone 1 bushes. Yeah, there we go. And then I have a zone 1 grass, which will be all of the grass around here. Let me zoom out. So if I take that, yeah, it's all the grass. So just using that add-on, I can mess with the entire zone's look and feel of how it's going to behave. So I could scale the whole thing up or down. Look at that. I mean, geez, that's cool. And here's my elements that I made in here with these violet leaves, and these are painted on. These are painted on with the Terrain 3D add-on. So yeah, the one I do like them because if it doesn't crash, when I raise and lower terrain, they stay with the terrain because they're part of that add-on. But unlike the grass, but I do like the flexibility. You saw how flexible that was just to move and change things. See there, so that's kind of cool to be able to paint on new elements like that. And then if I go in here and I wanted to just raise it, yeah, you can see that those violet leaves just go along with it because they're part of the Terrain 3D system. So yeah, there's a plus and a minus to each one, but I just enjoy how flexible those grass assets are. Even though if I change the terrain here, these bushes, which are part of the grass system, the bushes won't move. They'll just get buried. And then it'll crash again because it obviously doesn't like me painting over there. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing when I make some clovers. I want to have a whole zone that has kind of a clover concept to it, and it just has, instead of this, fluffy grass, it's going to have that look. Maybe I'll make another area with dry grass. Maybe another area looks very, very marsh-y, and I'll have a lot more mushrooms to it, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's about the size of things right now. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun making this so far, and we'll do some more live streams out here and answer more questions if you'd like to look at it or to see some more progress that's going on. That'd be great. What else was I going to show you? I think that was everything. I wanted to show you the pine bark. I want to show you the bushes. I want to show you the grasses. Terrain painting is really nice. And if I could continue to work on it and work out some of the glitches that I'm getting, that'll be a really good thing. But anyway, that's about the size of it. Thank you for being here. If this is your first time by here, this is the ADHD Game Dev channel, and I do a lot of stuff for indie and solo game devs and ADHDers, and I'm just trying to encourage people to continue to be creative and to do things that gives them joy and to take it as they're able to. A lot of times I think if you're an ADHDer, you can have some challenges in your life that make it a little bit difficult to get into complicated projects like game dev. Game dev is super complicated, and it's also super rewarding. I think it's important just to continue having fun and to enjoy what you're making. So if I was being a smart dev, I would just gray box the whole thing and would get all the abilities together and get the whole game playable. That's the correct way to go about it. But I'm having fun and I'm making something pretty, and I'm making a world for me to run around and play in. And because it's giving me joy, I'm having a positive mental pathways that are being set up. So when I think about going back to the project, I want to go back and work on it. I don't feel that resistance that we can often feel. But anyway, so yeah, if this is your first time here, that's what we're up to right now. And if you want to see more, I hope that you'll subscribe, and we will catch you around again in the future. I hope that you will be awesome today. I hope that you will be awesome today. Talk to you later. Bye now.